Well, hello and hello. I am coming on here live tonight. Just excited about what's happening. Excited about what's getting ready to happen. The past has nothing new to offer, so why are you still listening to it? I am Coach D. I am Desmond Booker. I am coming on here real quickly tonight just to share some things with you. Tonight we've been talking about no more setbacks. And so this is No More Setbacks Part 3. I didn't know this was going to turn into a series, but it's turned into a series. So real quickly, we talked about no more setbacks on Tuesday. What's today? Wednesday. On Monday. And then we talked about yesterday. We talked about taste something new. If you haven't seen those two, you need to go back and watch those on my timeline. Tonight, for 3, we're going to need to let go of it physically and mentally. Okay, so again, no more setbacks. What's keeping you going backwards? Every time you make those forward steps, there's always something that keeps you going back. Well, what we got to begin to do is we got to start not allowing anything to cause us to have setbacks. And again, what I was talking about in the setback is that, you know how you go to the doctor and then he gives you medicine and then you're starting to feel better, starting to get healed. So you get up too quick and you have what? You have a setback. So you got to go back to the medicine. You got to go back. And so many times we're about to break free. We're about to get the breakthrough. And then we do certain things, certain events, hang out with certain people, do certain thoughts again. And what happens is that we have what? We have a setback. So I'm saying tonight in 2020, no more setbacks. Start tasting something new. The reason why you keep going back to something that's old is because you really haven't tasted what's new. Start tasting something that is new. When you start tasting something new, you won't go back to the old thing. See, the reason why people go back to a certain person, even though that person may not be treating them well, is because why? Because they never tasted the new person. But once you get a person out of your system, well, guess what? You're not going to go back. Why? Because you got a taste of the new thing. So taste something new. That's what we talked about. So tonight, I want to talk about letting it go physically and mentally. So if you're not going to have any setbacks, not only do you need to walk away from it, walk away from even possibly them, walk away from the job, whatever it is, you need to walk away physically, but then also mentally as well. So many times we can leave something physically, but in our minds, we're still thinking about it. In our minds, we're still wanting it. In our minds, we're still desiring it. And so what happens, because it's still in your mind and it's not out of your mind, guess what? If it's on your mind, it's going to be back into your life. And so that's why you keep going. That's why you keep having those setbacks, is because why? It's because it's still in your mind. You still can remember what it was like. You can still feel what it was like. You know, you can still taste what it was like. So you want to go back to what's familiar to you because it's in your mind. No, let it go physically and then also let it go mentally. So what you got to begin to do, you got to begin to replace those thoughts of the past, of what it was that you had, of what you or where you were, how comfortable things were and how great things are, were. Because many times when you're starting on something new, it's going to be hard. When you're starting to break habits, when you're starting to break out of anything, it's going to be hard for you to go forward. Why? Because mentally, good evening. How are you doing there, Minister Hendricks? It's going to be hard for you to break those things because why? You let it go physically, but you haven't let it go mentally. And it's time for you to let go of those things mentally. Let go of them mentally. You're in a new relationship and can't experience the new relationship because you're still mentally involved with somebody else. And so now this person that you're with has to go through some different things because why? Because you are mentally thinking about that other person. Okay? So tonight, walk away. Let it go. Let go of it physically. Let go of it mentally. So in order to let it go mentally, you're going to have some new thoughts. This is why vision boards are very important. This is why hanging with certain people are very important. Why? Because you want to let go of things and people that are no longer serving you, that are no longer taking you in the direction, and you got to let that go physically, and you got to let it go mentally. Because if you don't let it go mentally, you're going to find yourself back in the same situation. You're going to find yourself doing the same old thing again. You're going to find yourself hanging out with them that you said that you weren't going to hang out with them. You know that they're not any good for you. You know that they have been, manipulating and conning you and causing you pain. But why do you keep going back? Because in your mind, they're still there. But you got to wash them out of your mind by what? By replacing them with some new thoughts. See yourself in a great relationship. See yourself in that new house. See yourself in that driving that new car. See yourself making more money. See yourself in that business. The reason why you haven't started the business is why? Because you keep going back to jobs. You keep going back to something that's comfortable for you. But no, this thing is going to stretch you. This thing is going to cost you something, and it's going to have to start in your what? In your mind. And so before you even leave, you ought to be thinking about what's the next step. Before you even leave physically, you ought to start thinking about what's my next move, and see it in your mind. Because if you start seeing it and picturing it in your mind, you're going to start moving towards that. As the head goes, the body will follow. Let me say that again. As the head goes, the body will follow. So if in your head, in your mind is the right thoughts, in your mind is a new direction, your body is going to go in a new direction. But if in your mind, old thoughts, old habits are still in your mind, then you can go back to, even though you have new habits, new thoughts, new habits, guess what? Even though you started in a new direction, you can go back. Because why? Because you never washed your mind of old thoughts. Tonight, no more setbacks. No more, as I started this series saying, and I didn't mean for it to be a series, but now it is. As I said, you got the medicine, you're taking the medicine, you're doing good, you're going in the right direction, and next thing you know, you get up too sick, too quick, and you're back sick again. What happened? You had a setback. No more setbacks. Take all of the medicine, get you plenty of rest so that you can get up fully healed, fully restored, right? The same way it is in relationships, the same way it is and moving into a business or getting a new job or getting you got to make sure that you have not only physically left, but you have mentally left, and that you begin to start thinking the right thoughts, start talking the right talk, start doing the right things. And guess what's going to begin to happen? You won't have any more setbacks. Because why? Because the setbacks cannot occur when your mind has checked out, right? When you physically have checked out. I know some people have said, I know you treated me good, but I ain't coming back to this anymore. Why come they can say that? Is because they know that they're not going back to something that's familiar to them. They found something that's going to be better, and they're desiring something. When your taste changes, your mind will change. Okay? So tonight, I conclude with that. If you have not seen all three of these videos, go back on my timeline and see them. Again, we're talking about no more setbacks. It's time to go forward. It's time to do more than you've ever done before. It's time to become more than you've ever than you have ever saw yourself do before. And when you begin to let go and you check out and you let your mind no longer revisit where you've been, and you no longer physically are going back to what's common to you, you're going to see yourself in a position where you're really truly desiring to see yourself. I'm going forward and not backwards. Well, you got to get your mind going forward and not backwards. Have a great night. No more setbacks. We're going all the way to this next destination. What is that for you? What does that look like for you? What is your next destination? You got to begin to describe it and then see it, because it's already done. Have a great night.